Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather. We're going to focus on what's ahead for Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving pattern for east and west. A few of the things I'm watching here, we've got a robust high pressure ridge sitting over the Pacific Northwest. It's really just dictating what happens across the west right now. That'll eventually break down, but there's a big catch to it with a pattern shift coming on or after 11:21. The issue is the trend, the jet axis itself, and I'll explain. It's not optimal. There could be a northeast storm system. It could be large. So I'm going to take a look at all that. I wanted to show you actually what it looks like right now. In Colorado, we had a nice, fast storm system, cold front, Arctic blast, all of that combined come on a fast north-south jet stream. This is Eldora reporting 9 inches of new snow. It's in the single digits up there today. It's very cold in the wake of this and this air mass, but love seeing that up at Eldora, 9 inches of new snow. Great day to be skiing up there. And yeah, so that's the view right now. I just don't have a whole lot in the future. We're going to be skiing on this snow for a long time. Let me show you the pattern. So there's our cold front, our blue front that came racing down out of Alberta and down through Montana, Wyoming, and through Colorado. Now it's done here and it's moving away. But there's your big high pressure ridge. And I was looking at some of the details on this eastern Pacific high, and it is, some of the measurements were were off some of the charts as far as differences from like the norm, like the standard deviations are really high on this thing. So it's been a problem. And then you've got 2 low pressures behind it. Now that will represent a pattern change for the west on or after 11:21, but there are some big question marks with that. I talked a lot about it on my blog this morning, and I actually just published this. ChrisTomer.com. If you haven't subscribed to this, please do so. At the bottom of the post, I'll show you. It's really easy. You just go down and hit put your email address in there, and then subscribe. So I talked. There's some pretty good bullet points in here. I address both east and west because there could be some interesting features on both through Thanksgiving. I know this is an important time of the year. So there's some good bullet points on there. I looked at the current setup and we just talked about that. And then I went into the Thanksgiving pattern. And I've got these loaded in, so I'm going to talk about them here. Here is the jet pattern for 11:24. This is Thanksgiving, late in the day, but you'll notice. So there is some change. The jet comes back into the picture a bit here. There's a bit of a shift as high pressure kind of moves south. But it's much slower than what we were thinking of a few days ago, even a couple of days ago. But we've seen the trend, at least I've seen the trend consistently now. The bend of the jet, look how far north it is. It's way up into BC, and I mean it's so far to the north that most of the west is still dry on the 24th. There's a fast north to south flow on the east side of it, but this pattern is not going to get you big snow. Let me show you what it looks like on the 26th. It's still, the axis is so far to the north that California, most of Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, too dry. They're just too much high pressure influence. Even though the pattern's shifting, it's not for the better. It's not for the snowier. Now beyond this, it's a different story. You can kind of see the dipping jet over the Pacific at that point. That may become something of interest late November into early December, but there just isn't a whole lot for the southern tier of the Rockies at all with that pattern. Okay, let's talk about the East Coast. Look at this pattern on the 25th. This is a significant dip in the jet stream, and so when you look at opportunity cost in the atmosphere, for this to happen, you would normally have to have what you see out west right here. Look at the 26th again. You got to have a big high pressure out to the west, sends the jet down over the east. So there is a bit of a seesaw pattern here that you would typically find. If you want a big storm for the northeast, you would typically have to have a big high pressure across the west. And so I think that's largely what we've been seeing evolve here in the pattern. And if this holds, then that high pressure over the west is not going anywhere. But this could become something important for the Northeast. I mean, you can see that powerful jet ripping up through Boston. So keep an eye on that. And I'll show you what I'm thinking as far as totals coming up. But let me take you back. To my blog and what I was talking about for this morning. We'll go down into timing, and there's your Northeast storm system if you want to read over that. Forecast timing. All right, let me back this up, and let me just make sure we've got it loaded, and we do. So let me run this out. This is Saturday morning at 6. Look how quiet it is. Look at Sunday morning at 6. So on the 21st, even though the pattern is shifting, it's not shifting as much as we had thought, as because of what's happening out on the East Coast. If that storm continues to become a bigger issue, this high pressure again is not going to weaken enough across the West. So I'll run that out one more time for you. So there's Saturday, there is Sunday, and there is Monday at 6 a.m. Here comes Tuesday on the 22nd. And in the here's 23rd, big travel day, looks pretty good. And then late on the 23rd, right there, most of the action's getting sent up into the BC area, and then out to the Northeast. All right, let's go into snow numbers here, because that is what's next. All right, so this is the 18th, all of today through the 20th, incredibly dry. I mean, outside of Colorado and residual snow, there's nothing. There's nothing. High's too big. Now, there is a bit of a pattern shift right here, with that jet coming a little further to the south and feeding precip into, and this is the 21st through the 26th, feeding precip into Pacific Northwest, BC, Banff, and maybe northern Idaho and northwest Montana. But like I was saying, the trend to bend that jet north is just becoming more and more of a factor. So there's nothing for most of the Rockies. The southern tier of the Rockies are dry through the 26th. Now that could change late November, early December, but through this period, that's the way it looks. All right, we'll end on the Northeast, all of today through the 26th. So assuming at least a partial development here of a nor'easter would drop some snow into New Hampshire, Vermont, and northern Maine. Now, I'm not going to show, obviously. I think it's all over the place now as far as what's happening in Buffalo, so there's no need to really go into it here. But if you ski in parts of western New York, if you ski close to the lakes, you're going to have some lake effect snow, and it's going to be big in some places. So there you go. I'll keep an eye on things. Interesting pattern for the east-northeast. Something to watch. Thank you guys for tuning in here. Always appreciate it.